Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. One thing that I've learned in my life is to be thankful for the struggle that I've been through. I used to be ashamed and just kind of bummed that I had had such a hard life, especially my childhood. I really hated the fact that my father was a deadbeat, wasn't around. When I finally got to meet him when I was 16, he was a criminal and a loser. He was out of control. My dad was a violent psychopath with a split personality. He loved to abuse women. He had no problems abusing me. For a long time, I just wished that I would have had a different father. I've asked my mom on more than one occasion as a kid, why couldn't you have hooked up with somebody else? Why'd you have to have a baby with that guy? What the hell did you see in him? He was like the epitome of weakness, at least in my opinion. I used to be really bummed on all that. If I had a wish from a genie, I would have wished for a different father. I would have wished for a whole different life. I was born homeless, grew up in poverty. Times were tough. Had no father around, and my mother worked 2 jobs, so I barely ever saw her. Raised myself, ended up out in the streets from the time I was 10 years old. Started a robbery career when I was around 10. Lasted well into my late 20s. I was a drug addict. I was dysfunctional. I had learning disabilities, dyslexia, ADHD, and all the symptoms that go along with it that just made my life harder. I had a terrible, terrible time through school. Went through 4 high schools in 4 years, got expelled from 3 of them. Put through special schools for fucked up kids. Anybody who's ever been to one of those types of schools, it's like an insane asylum. These are like mental institutions, babysitting factories. You don't learn anything. All it does is make you worse. I used to wish that none of that had ever happened. I had a hard time with relationships, both with just friends and lovers. I finally got engaged and she cheated on me with other friends of mine. That hurt. I've been left with so much hurt, literally just crying myself to sleep every night, clutching my pillow. Wondering why me, why? Can't tell you how many times I've cried out that question. But I've realized as I've gotten older and as I've had to go through each little bit of my life and to learn the lesson and the value from each experience, that it made me stronger, that we grow through struggle. If I would have had my wish and to have had an easier life and to grown up in a better family and to had an easier time out of high school as a young adult. I went homeless when I was 18, right after I graduated high school. I went homeless. I felt like it was a victory that I even graduated high school. God damn, a guy like me wasn't even meant to get that far. Most people I knew dropped out. I finally graduated. I had that piece of paper. I finally had some victory in my life. And it was met by just more struggle. Went homeless. Watched a bunch of my friends die. My father got murdered. Any little hopes that I had had in the back of my mind of maybe my dad will change who he is and I can finally have a real father, all that was out the window. He was gone off the face of the earth. By the time I was 26 years old, I had already witnessed more than 10 murders, watched people die in the streets right next to me, looking me in the eye as they took their last breath, screaming my name, help me, help me. There's nothing I could do. All this stuff fucked me up. I went through an amazing amount of hard times in my life that traumatized me. Of misfortunes, bad luck, bad decisions. I used to just wish that none of it ever happened, but now I'm glad that it happened because it made me who I am. I'm an incredibly strong person. And I never would have been able to get this way without having to go through that battlefield. Sure, I could be dumped again. Relationships are never guaranteed, but I will never end up a weakling crying on the floor again. I've been through that. I know how to get through that. I've seen the lessons in that. I've been homeless. I would never go homeless again. And I don't have to turn to robbery. I know what it's like to be a lazy drunk and a drug addict. And I learned discipline. I know what it's like to have to pick myself up off of the lowest point of my life by myself, without any help, without any support system, all alone. I know what it's like to be desperately lonely. And now I don't even suffer from loneliness. I know how to fulfill myself with self-love. I've learned all these lessons through my struggle. I could go on and on about the lessons I've learned from my struggle, but I think you get what I'm talking about. You may also have your list of hardships. I mean, everybody does. It's important that we, instead of running from the hard times that we've gone through, to really take a good look at it, to grab the lessons out of each thing that we've been through, even the stuff that we didn't ask for. I didn't ask for most of this stuff to happen. Some of it I'm responsible for. I was not perfect. I have no disillusions. I called forth a lot of misery in my own life. But some of it I never asked for, especially in my childhood. I was thrown into it. I've had all kinds of trauma that had nothing to do with my own choices. I was a victim. But I don't have to have a victim mentality because of it. That stuff turned me into a warrior. I'm thankful that all that crap that happened to me happened. I used to feel like, well, I came from shit, I live in shit, and I'll probably die in shit. I'm just worthless. Now I realize that I have value. Because you know what shit is? Shit is fertilizer. You need good fertilizer in order to grow good crops. Beautiful orchids only grow out of good fertilizer. And you have to learn how to cultivate yourself. That's why it's important to take a good look at these things instead of running from it, and to learn the lessons that are in each trauma, each bad time, each misery. Every time you've cried, learn the lesson. Don't get lost in the emotion. Learn the lesson behind it, and you'll become stronger. I've never met a strong person who didn't have a hard life behind that. Just like I've never seen a guy at the gym with big muscles who barely works out. Forget about steroids. In order to grow, in order to build yourself stronger, you have to increase the struggle. Constantly increase the struggle and learn the lessons behind it. Learn how to work through the struggle in the most proper way, so you don't get hurt, so you don't break yourself, but you grow from it. Certain people love that kind of struggle. They look for it. They can't wait for tomorrow so they can put more weight on that bar, put more pain in their system. No pain, no gain is what they always say at the gym. It's kind of the way it is in life when you learn to see the lessons in the hardships. You're not so scared of them happening. A storm is going to come. Bad times will come. They may already be going on for you right now. This world is not perfect. There's a lot of fucked up shit going on. You may be experiencing it. But don't give up. See the value in this experience. See the value in the struggle and how it strengthens you. This is training. This is warrior training. You're supposed to get stronger as you go through life. I always felt that life was a curse. I had generational curses. I realized these are generational gifts. My weak father, I wouldn't change it for anything. I'm glad I had a weak father, a loser father, one who wasn't there most of the time. When I finally met him, that he was a nightmare. I'm glad for all of it. I would not wish it to be different because it made me who I am. I do life coaching and mentoring for people, and I wouldn't be able to help people without having the experiences that I've had, without surviving and thriving through the hardest times, I made myself into someone that I'm proud of. I don't care what you think. I'm proud of who I am. And that's an important statement to be able to make for yourself, especially if you've gone through hard times. Don't teach me about relationships if you've never been dumped. Don't talk to me about love if you've never been hated, if you've never been betrayed, been stomped on, cried yourself to sleep. If you've never done that, don't talk to me about lessons of life. Because those are the types of things that build us up. Our miseries, our woes. That makes us who we are. That's the fertilizer. Outlook is everything. You have to change your outlook on the life that you've led. Stop being so down on yourself for what's happened to you. And make a conscious choice to grow. We grow through what we go through. Thanks for watching.